Very good afternoon to all. On behalf of the FDP team, SKIT College Jaipur, I, Dr. Vikas Gautam, Faculty, Department of Mechanical Engineering, welcomes the delegates and participants on the third session of Atal sponsored 5-day FDP on Industrial Internet of Things. We are proud to have eminent academician and researcher Dr. Omji Chukla among us. Dr. Omji Shukla did his bachelor's in mechanical engineering from Uttar Pradesh Technical University, Lucknow, and master's in mechanical engineering from Birla Institute of Technology and Science Planning. He did his PhD from Malvi National Institute of Technology, Jaipur. He has more than 11 years of teaching and research experience. Presently, he is working as assistant professor, Department of Mechanical Engineering, NIT Patna. His area of research interests are agent-based modeling, artificial intelligence in manufacturing, operation management, and supply chain management. On behalf of Atal-sponsored FDP team SKT College, I extended a hearty welcome and express our gratitude to Dr. Omji Shukla for accepting our invitation to grace this occasion. Now I request Dr. Omji Shukla, sir, to kindly enlighten the audience by sharing your knowledge. Over to Dr. Omji Shukla.
Thank you so much, Dr. Vikas. And first of all, I would like to thank the organizers of this FDP and SKIT management, who has given me opportunity to talk on this one of the emerging area, artificial intelligence and its the application and scope of the scope and application. So now I will share my screen. Is it visible?
Yes, sir. It is visible.
So, so now my topic is AI, artificial intelligence in manufacturing, scope and application. I will cover the different topics under this heading, under this title. The first of all, I will cover theoretical portion of the artificial intelligence, and then I will cover the practical research, which is done by me. So now these are outlines. I will cover these topics. First of all, I will discuss about what is AI, what is artificial intelligence, then why is it important in the manufacturing industry, and the AI in manufacturing sector in India. Then what are the technological needs of AI in manufacturing, and what are the different benefits of AI in manufacturing sectors, and then mega trend in AI, and then I will cover the practical research in AI. So now, first of all, that is artificial intelligence. So we should understand what is artificial intelligence. So artificial intelligence is the ability of machines to seemingly think for themselves. And it is the intelligence shown by the computer systems to perform tasks that normally require human knowledge, intelligence, skills, or learning, such as speech recognition, decision making, and visualization. So basically, AI is the ability of machines, basically, and they perform the task, different tasks. Usually, these tasks are done by human. So when this intelligence becomes artificial, if we talk about the machines, so it becomes an artificial intelligence. So now AI encompasses a range of technologies that are learned over time as they are exposed to more data. And basically, machine learning algorithm is the ability of AI enabled systems to learn without being explicitly programmed. It uses algorithms to analyze data, learn from it, and then make decisions or provide output. So machine learning algorithm, it is a part of AI, artificial intelligence, and it uses algorithms to analyze the data. So now next thing, why is it important in the manufacturing industry? So why it is important? So basically, the manufacturers are frequently facing different challenges in their plant. So those challenges basically are unexpected machine failures or defective product delivery. So if we use AI and machine learning, so they can improve operational efficiency, and they can launch new products, customize product designs, and plan future financial actions to progress on their AI transformation. Okay, so and according to Capgemini's research, more than half of the European manufacturers, that is 51%, are implementing AI solutions, and Japan 30% and the US 28% following in the second and third. So this is the scenario of AI, and the same study also reveals that most popular AI use cases in manufacturing are maintenance, that covers 29% of the manufacturing AI use cases, and the quality covers 27%. So it is also basically important thing. So maintenance and quality covers most uses of AI. And manufacturing the data that is good fit for AI or machine learning. So it is that's why AI is also important in the manufacturing sector. And manufacturing is full of analytical data, which is easier for machines to analyze. Okay, so there are many variables involved in manufacturing. So hundreds of variables impact the production process, and while these are very hard to analyze for humans, machine learning models can easily predict the impact of individual variables in such complex situations. Okay, so machine learning, which is part of AI, can play an important role to predict the impact of individual variables in complex situations. Okay, so we cannot analyze so many variables simultaneously or manually. So machine learning algorithms can play an important role in the case of complex situations. Now, and the current scenario, the COVID-19 pandemic also increased the interest of manufacturers in AI applications. And and the panic due to lockdowns may have forced manufacturers shift their focus to artificial intelligence. So in the current scenario, the role of artificial intelligence becomes important. So many manufacturers are thinking in this area, and they are looking forward for this for the application of AI in their plant also. So now AI in manufacturing sector in India. If we talk about the application part of AI in India, so application of artificial intelligence in manufacturing sector in India is presently growing at a compound annual growth rate of 49.5%. Okay, so currently this is the situation, and the market of the manufacturing industry was expected to be evaluated at $1 billion in 2019, and it is forecasted to grow up to $17 billion by $1 billion by 2025. Okay, so it has so much opportunities if we uh, go for AI in manufacturing sector in India. So this is the forecasting report, and in 2019 it was $1 billion, and by 2025 will reach $17 billion. So there is a much opportunity for the manufacturing sector in India. So now, what are the now I will discuss about the different technological needs of AI in manufacturing. So there are many technological needs of AI in manufacturing. So it includes industrial robots. So Basically, industries like automobile, electronic, and hard welding have always faced a shortage of labor, and industrial robots have powerfully countered the considerable problem. Okay, so this is the most one of the important example, that is Siemens has developed a path-breaking unmanned aerial vehicle that is powered by IoT and AI for fault detection in long transmission lines. Okay, so they have developed this path-breaking unmanned aerial vehicle, and so in this way, this is the need of AI in manufacturing sector, industrial robots. Next thing, the quality control. So quality control basically, uh, all the data collected by the sensors and predefined programming of AI algorithm govern top-notch quality assurance activities in manufacturing businesses. Okay, so quality assurance in manufacturing lines of large-scale production industries should be visualized as a data-driven process on the work terminals. And these automated processes are governed by various quality checking algorithms. Okay, set patterns and preset guidelines or parameters, and it will be well monitored by policing and inspecting sensors. So it will govern by the different sensors. So the example, that is Domino's Pizza Checker, is an AI tool that inspects photographs of every pizza delivered, and it checks if it is having all the ingredients or not, and it is presented the way it should be. So it is a very important application of AI in the field of food industry. So this is the quality control. So we can mm, include more things, more AI based things in quality control and inspection. Next thing is the technological needs of AI, that is cyber security. Cyber security is of utmost importance for all companies operating in the manufacturing space. Okay? And these companies have general business processes well embedded in the data-driven tasks. So this is a most important thing, cybersecurity, and AI plays its part in the manufacturing sector by helping them streamline the hybrid cloud strategy for storing the data. And cybersecurity is extremely important for isolating data related to different departments and their complete security from external threats and malicious attacks. So, in this way, we can say that cybersecurity plays an important role, and in the field of AI, and it is one of the most important need of AI in the field of manufacturing. Now, next technological needs of AI in manufacturing, that is maintenance and inspection. Machine learning is capable of predicting instances of failure and complete breakdown by estimating the total life of any device. So the machine learning, which is the part, this is the application of AI, and it basically easily capable of predicting instances of failure. Okay, for the device. Inspection is best empowered by computer vision that is capable of inspecting the ready products. Here you can see in this picture, this is the inspection part by the done by a robot, and it also uses artificial intelligence for tracking down the images of products below compliance and manufacturing standards. Okay, so here the one of the most one of the example, that is NanoNets, is an excellent example of machine vision based products. NanoNets, basically it is a platform designed to help build machine learning models. Okay, it is a platform designed to build machine learning models. So with the help of NanoNets, it covers the it covers the inspection part. Okay. Now next, that is technological needs, that is procurement and planning. Uh, Use of AI in procurement and planning leads to synchronized plan with the help of digital supply network that are powered by advanced technologies and interconnected systems. Okay, and companies are looking to analyze sales patterns around a year using time series analysis and sentiment analysis. So there are AI powered nice platforms that are automating the procurement process. So here, this is the technological need of AI in manufacturing, that is procurement and planning. So we can use many AI-powered platform for intelligent procurement and planning. Next thing, that is how AI is helping in manufacturing sector. So there are many benefits of AI in manufacturing sector. So the first thing is directed automation. So directed automation basically in this benefit, the robots are capable of doing recurring activities and designing the production model, raising competence, building automation solutions, and eradicating human error and delivering superior levels of quality assurance. Okay, so the utilization of AI and robots is particularly observed in industrial manufacturing as they revolutionize the mass production. Okay, so if we use robots in manufacturing sector, in industrial manufacturing, so we can increase the mass production. Okay, so this is directed automation part. And 24/7 production, next benefit of AI. While humans are forced to work in 3 shifts for ensuring continuous production, while robots are capable to work for 24/7 in the production. So we can continue 24/7 production without any major problems. If we use humans involved in this 24/7 production, so we have to schedule the shifts, different shifts. But in the case of robots, so we cannot use any shifts, only the maintenance required. Next benefit, that is safer operational environment. As robots replace humans and perform normal and risky activities, the number of workplace accidents will decrease all across. This is also a very important thing. If we replace humans with the robots, so we can we can reduce the accidents, number of accidents, number of workplace accidents. So it provides safer operational environment for industrial manufacturing. And novel opportunities for humans, as AI takes over the manufacturing plant and automates boring and ordinary human tasks, and workers will get to focus on complex and innovative tasks. So, and AI takes care of skilled, unskilled labor, and humans can focus on driving innovation and routing their business to advanced levels. So from this novel opportunities for humans, basically AI covers the unskilled part, and so that human can think of innovative tasks. Okay, so it gives opportunities for human man. So so the employees can give more focus on complex and innovative tasks. They can implement some creativity in their in the plant, in manufacturing plant. Okay? So AI gives a novel opportunity for human. So, and the last thing, that is condensed operating cost. So although bringing AI onto the manufacturing industry would necessitate a huge capital investment, the ROI is significantly high. But as the intelligent machines start taking care of day-to-day activities, businesses can enjoy considerably lower operating costs. So, by the way, here the huge capital investment will be involved, but we can we can reduce the operating cost by introducing intelligent machines. Okay, so by introducing AI in manufacturing sector, we can reduce the, we can condense the operating cost. So these are the some important benefits of AI in manufacturing sector. Now, this is the mega trend in AI. That is, you can see here. This is artificial intelligence. AI is connected with the machine learning. This is data analytics. This is problem solving. This is distributed AI. This is acting, perception, natural language processing, automated reasoning, and knowledge representation. So these are the various dimensions of AI. So here I will focus on this part, that is distributed AI and MES. So I have done my research in the field of this is AI and I have used multi-agent system based production scheduling in jobs of manufacturing system. So now I will discuss about this part, MES, distributed AI. Okay. Now I will start my practical research work and I will discuss those the research work. Okay, so I have covered till now the theoretical portion of AI. What is distributed artificial intelligence? So according to Ponomarev and Voronov, DAI can be defined by three main characteristics. It is a method for the distribution of tasks between agents. And it is a method of distribution of parts, and it is a method of communication of the agents. So any DAI, distributed artificial intelligence, can be defined as it is a method for the distribution of tasks between agents. Okay, and it is a method of distribution of parts, and it is a method of communication of the agents. So here you can see the term that is agent. I will discuss the definition of agent further. Hence, in order to structure a DI system, it is not only necessary to intervene on the system functionalities, but also design the agent architecture. Okay, so here the most important part, design the agent architecture. So what is agent? The question comes in our mind, what is agent? Okay, so an agent in software applications can be defined as a computational agent or computer system which acts autonomously to achieve its objective. Okay, so in agent-based modeling, an agent is defined as an individual with autonomy, interacting behavior, self-motivation, decision-making ability, goal-oriented behavior, and learning ability. So we can say that any agent, the main characteristics of an agent, that is the autonomous, the agent must be autonomous, the agent must be proactive, the agent must be reactive, and agent must have social behavior. These four qualities should be in an agent. So when we create any agent, so we should include these main characteristics into an agent. And what is multi-agent system? So what is multi-agent system? Basically, it is a network of agents which interact and communicate to each other to reach common objectives while simultaneously each agent pursues individual goals. This is the important thing. In multi-agent system, each agent will fulfill its individual objective. Simultaneously, they will fulfill the common goal, global objective. Okay, individual objective, personal objective, and global objective. Okay, so this is the part of this is a multi-agent system. Now research work in AI and how this concept, the concept of multi-agent system is implemented in my research. So first of all, I proposed a framework for multi-agent system implementation in the manufacturing system on the basis of literature review. And on the basis of literature review, I proposed this framework. In this framework, there are 6 steps. That is, first step is input elements to multi-agent system. So these are the some input informations we have to give multi-agent system. So it can be processing times, number of machines information, types of machines, jobs, how many jobs are involved in this in the study, and promised order and job sequences and service failure time of each machine type. So any other information which is required for the for your problem, so you can include. Okay, so these are the some input elements to multi-agent system, and then we have to create multi-agent system platform. Okay, so it will be created on, it can be created on Jade also, or Jag, or Arena, or Java enabled agent based platform. And you can use MATLAB also. I use basically I used MATLAB. So using any software, you have to create multi-agent system platform, and after that you have to see the things, see the basically agent encapsulation, or for decomposition of agents. So you have to give the, you have to search the behavior of the agents, how it will act. It will act as functional agent, or it will act as physical agent, or it will act as hybrid. So decomposition approach you have to give. So functional means that is an agent can be as an scheduling agent. Okay, scheduling basically this is the function. So it can be as functional agent. And if we use machine as an agent, so we can say that this is a physical type of agent. Okay, physical decomposition approach. So physical agent. So if we if you use machine as an agent, so it can be as physical agent. Agent organization for arrangement of agents, that is agent architecture. We have to we have to basically include the agent architecture. So, and we have to adopt a suitable agent architecture. So it can be hierarchical, federation, or autonomous, or hierarchical. It is a combination of many organizations, many agent organizations. So we have to arrange the agents, different agents in the agent architecture. So next thing, that is agent coordination and the negotiation for interaction of agents. How agents will be interacting. So here some mechanisms are there. We can use direct mechanism, we can use indirect mechanism, indirect coordination mechanism, and other negotiation mechanisms we can use for coordination, agent coordination, and negotiation for interaction of agents. Okay, so this is an important thing, how to interact, how we basically how we provide the this mechanism for interaction of agents. And then agent learning for quick response in sudden changes. If we just if we change the things, so how it will react. So that is agent learning. So for learning part, we can use reinforcement, case-based supervised GA, or neural network based learning. Okay, so these are the this is the framework I proposed in my research for MES implementation in manufacturing system. Now, after that, I considered this case. In this case, there are 6 machines: casting, planing, turning, shaping, drilling, and polishing. So there are 6 operations which are involved in this case study, and there are 3 jobs: job 1, job 2, and job 3. So this is the way they can process in different types of machines, in different types of workstations. So here you can see here the J1, job 1 will be entered in the casting workstation, and then it will go for planing part, and then it will go for turning part, turning workstation, and then it will go for polishing workstation. So and then it will exit. Okay, so the processing sequence of job 1, this is casting, planing, turning, and polishing. And second part, second job, that is job 2. First, it will go for shaping operation, and then it will go for drilling operation, then it will go for turning operation, and then it will exit. Okay, and job J3, job 3, first it will go to casting workstation, then it will go to shipping workstation, and then it will go for drilling, and then it will go for planing, and then it will go for this, that is black line you can see here. Planing, after planing it will go for polishing. Okay, and then it will go for exit. Okay, so so in this way these three jobs will be processed in these six workstations. This is jobs of manufacturing system configuration. Okay. So now this is the sim events model of jobs of manufacturing system. Basically, I distributed my research work in three parts. First, in the first part, I created the model, the simulation model of simple jobs of manufacturing system, that is using sim events. And sim events basically it is one of the toolbox in Simulink that is under MATLAB. Okay, so sim events is dedicated to discrete event system toolbox. Okay, so using sim events you can simulate any discrete event system problem. Discrete event system problem, that is the output will be counted. Okay, you can count the output just like customers, how many customers are entered into this, into the house, so into the shop. So you can count the customers, no? How many parts are being produced, so you can count the parts. So in this way, 1, 2, 3, 4. So you can count the parts. So in that case, these type of systems are called as discrete event systems. So for these discrete event systems, we can use sim event toolbox for simulating part. Okay. So I have used this toolbox for creating the simulation part for simulation modeling of simple jobs of manufacturing system. Okay. So this is the sim events simulation model of jobs of manufacturing system. So in this case, this is the six workstations are there, and in this you can see this is the model. Now individual operations are there. I have created individual operation, that is casting operation. It is the first process for job 1 and job 3, while J2 is not processed under this operation. So here only two jobs will be scheduled. Okay, so here I have scheduled only two jobs, J1 and J3. So which will be scheduled first? It comes under this research. Now next thing, planning operation. Planning operation, that is for job 1, this is the second task, while job for J3 and planning occurs in fourth processing sequence. Similarly, turning operations are there, and shaping operations. I created, made the simulation model of drilling operation, polishing operation. Okay, so in this way, I have created individual operations or individual workstations basically using sim events toolbox. So now, for evaluating the performance of jobs of manufacturing system, I have considered 6 performance measures. It's like mean flow time and mean tardiness. So mean flow time basically the average time of a job is spent in the manufacturing system. So in this way, you have also this is a simple thing, and mean flow time, mean tardiness, and standard deviation of flow time. Uh, and next thing, standard deviation of tardiness, production output, work in process. So these 6 performance measures I have adopted for evaluating the jobs of manufacturing system. Next, I analyze the simulation results, and here I have considered uh, 4 dispatching rules: FIFO, first in first out dispatching rule, last in first out, and shortest processing time, and last processing time. Okay, longest processing time. Shortest processing time and longest processing time. So here 4 dispatching rules I have used in my research. You can use any. There are many dispatching rules, so you can use any other dispatching rules also. So here these performance measures were evaluated for simple jobs of manufacturing system. Okay. So here this is the performance measures of JMS, jobs of manufacturing system. The second part, in the second part of my research work, developed agent based architecture for GMS. Okay. So developing agent based architecture for jobs of manufacturing system. In the second part, so here these are the brief description of agents. So in first job agents. So here this is job agent. Basically, it receives the job agent receives the information from machines and transfer the information to the DDAs. DDAs means dispatching date agents. Okay, so it receives the data from machines and transfers that data to dispatching date agents. And what will be the final outcome? Final outcome, basically the job related information will be updated. Okay, so in the case of job agent, and the case of shop utilization agent, it receives the information from machines and also gives the transfers to the dispatching data agents, and machine utilization records will be updated. This is the final outcome of shop utilization after this thing. Okay, so the third agent, dispatching date agents, basically it receives the information from job agents and shop utilization agent and transfers the information or data to job weightage agents, and the final outcome will be it will update due date records of each job. Okay, so the due date records of each job will be updated after the completion of this working of this agent. Now the fourth types of agent, fourth, that is job weightage agents. It receives the information from DDAs, dispatching date agents, and transfers the information to scheduling agents, and it will update job priority values assigned to each job. Okay, so we here we will assign priority value to each job, and on the basis of that priority value, scheduling agent will decide which part will go first or not. So here scheduling agents, basically it receives the information from job weightage agents and gives the information to manufacturing system shop floor. Okay, and updated, and the final outcome will be production scheduling plan will be updated. Okay, so here with the help of these five types of agents, basically we can schedule, or we can create the production scheduling plan. Okay, and now this is the MES architecture, multi-agent system architecture. You can see here. This is the 1, 2, 3 job agents. Basically, I have considered 3 jobs. So 3 job agents are there, and 1 shop utilization agent. This shop utilization agent, basically it gives the utilization of each machine, and dispatching date agents, basically there are 3 agents. Sorry, there are 3 jobs. So 3 dispatching date agents I have considered here, and then job weightage agents. 6 job weightage agents are there, and 6 scheduling agents are there. So this is the MES architecture, and I have considered the hierarchical agent architecture. This is hierarchical agent architecture. So this is the MES architecture. Now there are the different agents which is basically created using state flow. I will discuss state flow part. Now individual agents, if I discuss about the job agent, so job agent basically provide the information regarding number of uncompleted job entities of each job type and total processing time spent for each job type to DDAs. Okay, so here which information will be collected by job agent? Basically the information regarding number of uncompleted jobs and total processing time spent for each job. Okay, so in this way you can decide, and the job agents will be job agents have been programmed in this way, and the coding part has been done in this way. And the swap utilization agent, basically in this part, SUA contains the real-time information of each machine's utilization in the shop, and SUA has been used as an information agent and acts as a functional module for production planning. Okay, so it acts as an information agent and as functional module for production planning. So shop duration agent can be obtained. So this is the average of all machines. U is the shop utilization, and M is the number of machines in the shop, and UM is the utilization of mth machine. So in this way, we can basically design this software utilization agent. Now, next thing, that is dispatching date agent. How it works? Basically, DDAs are responsible for imparting information regarding dispatching dates of each job type to job weightage agents. Okay, so according to dynamic processing plus waiting time method, DPPW, we can evaluate this this part. We can define, or we can formulate the DI, dispatching date of job, any job. So here this formula will be used for coding the dispatching date agents. So here I have used this part, and through this we can create the agents. Now next, the job weightage agent, and this is one of the important agent, because on the basis of this information and what this job this agent will give the information, on the basis of that information we can decide the which job will go first. Okay, so job weightage agent contains the information on dispatching date and late fines, completion time, arrival time of those jobs which are processed on this operation. So this type of informations they contain, and all job weightage agents act as information agents responsible for imparting updated information to scheduling agents. And this job weightage agent optimizes the tardiness value and provides the job priority value to respective scheduling agent. Okay, here you can see here the job weightage agent basically optimize the tardiness value. I discussed tardiness part, and provides the job priority value to respective scheduling agent. So this is the important thing, and job weightage value or priority value for each job can be calculated as follows. This is the formula, and I have used this formula for coding part, for coding this agent. And T now, here the important thing is T now. This T now is the current time. Okay, and through this way, basically we are the real-time monitoring of the complete production schedule. Okay, so in this way I have created, I have modeled this agent. Now the last agent, that is scheduling agents. The responsibility of a scheduling agent is to execute and monitor the scheduling of jobs in real time. So the 6 scheduling agents are used for all 6 operations, and all scheduling agents act as decision-making agents responsible for scheduling 2 jobs on the basis of job weightage value, which updates in real time. So here the SA chooses the job, the highest job weightage value. Here the primary objective of any scheduling agent, that is schedule the jobs on the basis of the job weightage value. Which job has highest job weightage value, so scheduling agent will choose that job for processing. So this is the part of different agents. Now the communication chart for agent-based architecture, that is this is the communication part, communication chart. You can see here these are the job agents, jobs arriving information, job departing information, jobs processing informations, processing time informations was given to these 3 job agents, and these 3 job agents will give information to dispatching date agents, And here SOP utilization agent will give information about the utilization information of each machine to this dispatching date agents, and this dispatching date agents will give give this information to further agents, that is, and what are the informations they collect. Mean processing time per operation on the basis of given information, on the basis of information received from the job agents, a number of machines in the system, number of uncompleted jobs, total processing time, shop utilization, and number of operations in each job. So these are the some informations which are given to next agent by dispatching date agents. Okay, and they have basically defined these information on the basis of these informations which are received from job agents and software agent. And the next job it is agents, basically what they do, basically it receives the information from dispatching date agents, and then it will give information to scheduling agents. And then scheduling here, what are the informations are basically dispatching date of jobs, each job. Okay, each job, the dispatching date of each job, basically it is continuously updated. Okay, so because this is the real-time informations involved. That's why we can. It is an application of AI. Okay, here real-time informations are involved. Late fines for each job, current time information, completion time of each job, and arrival time of each job. Okay, these informations are basically defined by the job agent, and it transfers to to the scheduling agents, and scheduling agents on the receives scheduling agents, basically what they do, they job it is values of each job for each operation. On the basis of receiving information, they decide which job will go first, and they give the information to software, and then it will again gives the information to jobs. So continuously it is updated. This architecture, this communication flowchart, and this complete multi-agent system is continuous updated with the real-time information. Now, next thing is communication between DDAs and JWAs. This is the communication part. How it is communicated, that is DDA and JWA, DDA dispatching data agents and JWA. This is message viewer part. This is also the part of state flow, and the state flow is basically the toolbox of Simulink, and state flow basically was used for creating agent. So here we can see the real-time information, DDA, just like JWA planning. So through this communication chart, we can see the how it will communicate different DDAs with different JWAs. So it is basically given by the masses. So you can see next the communication between JWAs and SAs, job weightage agent and scheduling agent. So job weightage agent gives the value of priority value, and to the scheduling agent, and scheduling agent will communicate. So in this way they communicate to each other. So the summary of part of this part, that is architecture developed in this research integrates production planning and scheduling, and minimizes the production related problems through different agents, and it allows real-time data sharing among agents, which enables dynamic behavior in the GMS. It also provides updated job weightage value, which facilitates real-time production scheduling in jobs of manufacturing system. The IMS architecture shows that the functional agents are hierarchically structured. Functional agents are hierarchically structured, which helps to maintain real-time data information sharing amongst the agents. So what agents I have considered, those are basically functional type of agents. Okay, functional agents, and those functional agents are arranged or organized in hierarchy. Okay, so here hierarchical agent architecture was involved, and all the agents perform their roles simultaneously, and it provides autonomy to respective agents. Here, this is the important thing. All the agents perform their roles simultaneously. It means that they perform or they fulfill their own goal, and simultaneously it provides the autonomy to respective agents, and also simultaneously fulfill the global objective of this multi-agent system. Now, third part, that was agent-based simulation modeling of jobs of manufacturing system. So in this part, I created the simulation model of agent-based job for manufacturing system. So this it was the procedure for creating agent-based simulation model of JMS. So this is the first step. It was the first step, that is create simulation model for JMS using SimEvents software tool. Then I introduce real-time events in simulation model to convert dynamic JMS. Till now, any question? Or, okay, just.
Excuse me,
The third is, yes?
sir. Basically, there is one question from Vijay Singh Marwal, sir. He has asked about how job agents identify and tag jobs during process. So,
Just a minute. I see the chat box.
how job agent identify and tag jobs during process. That is what it is.
And tag jobs during process. Okay, job agents identify. Okay, basically, job agents is I created this job agents and give the name of job. You can give any name of that type of agent, but the main part is the working of the functions of agent. Okay, here you can see the job agent basically collects the information of jobs arriving information, jobs departing information, and jobs processing information. So they collect these informations from the system. Okay, so and continuously it will update the information. So and how it will update? It is updating the information because it is connected to the soft floor. So from soft floor, it will update all the information continuously on the real time basis. So I give the name of job agents, or you can give any name, but the main part is the functions. What are the different functions they cover? Okay.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Now, next thing is the third part. I started there are 10 steps basically involved in this creating agent-based simulation model of JMS. In the first step, the creation of simulation model of JMS using SimEvents software tool, and then introduce real-time events. Here, basically I introduced real-time events in simulation model to convert dynamic JMS. Okay, so dynamic behavior basically was introduced through real-time events, and create agents for DJMS, dynamic jobs of manufacturing system, using data information sharing to DDAs, and information received by DDAs to derive due date of each job, and then it gives the information to the all JWS to collect messages regarding due date values, and then JWS derive job weightage values of each job on the basis of tardiness optimization. So this is the important thing, tardiness optimization. Here the operation of tardiness was involved. So in here, information or inform all essays to collect the respective data information, and all scheduling agents provide real-time production scheduling on the basis of received job weightage values. So these are the 10 steps, and using 10 steps, we can basically, I have created the agent-based solution model of GMS. And the interaction of state flow with sim events model in MATLAB environment, how it was interacted in MATLAB environment. So this is we can understand basically you can see here MATLAB environment. This is the MATLAB environment, and this is a sim events model, and this is state flow model. So it is interacted through this way. Okay. So first of all, I have created sim events model, sim events simulation model, and then I've created a state flow model, and then I interacted. Basically, the interaction will be done. Now, this is the state flow model of agents. These are the agents which were modeled using state flow. And state flow, I already said that state flow is a toolbox of Simulink. And how it is used, basically, so it will basically a separate lecture for this state flow to understand how it works. So now this is the simulation model of state agents. Now this is the sim events model of JMS, and then it is interacted through this way. I created individually this part, I created individually this agent part, and then interacted. Okay. And now SimVent simulation tool with the state flow function libraries was used to simulate JMS as well as to analyze the results and performance of agent-based jobs of manufacturing system. Here the manufacturing system data and basic rules for agent behavior were defined, and agent-based jobs of manufacturing system has been simulated using different manufacturing system related assumptions. Next thing, that is simulation results are discussed for assessing the quality of AB-JMS performance. Okay, so this is the part of this one. Now here some performance measures also was performance measures of AB-JMS was evaluated through same performance measures: mean flow time, that is mean tardiness, then standard deviation of flow time, then standard deviation of tardiness, the production output, and then work in process. And it is based on 4 dispatching rules, 4 same dispatching rules. Okay, so first of all, I evaluated the performance of simple JMS, and now it is agent-based JMS. Next thing, evaluation of AB-JMS model. So in this utilization and job arrival time, so to test the behavior of AB-JMS with respect to shop utilization, the utilization of each machine in the shop floor was examined with respect to job arrival time, and the machine utilization is defined as the proportion of time that machine is actually in operation. Okay, so in this way you can calculate the machine utilization. And here I've created the just like utilization versus time for casting operation. For casting machine, the 100% utilization was there because this is the first operation for various jobs. Okay, for 2 jobs. So that's why the 100% utilization of casting machines were involved. So casting machine is overutilized for whole time period because this it was the first operation. It was the first workstation. Next, utilization of planer. So the range of utilization for planer machine is approximate 14% to 39% in decreasing order. So okay, 39% to 14%. So initially it was just like here 39% and then 14%. So the range of this utilization of planer machine. Now next part, that is less utilization of lathe machine at the start, but as time goes the machine utilization was fluctuated from approximate 34% to 15%. Okay, so it is 34% to 15%. And shaper is overutilized for whole time period because it is also the first operation for job 2, So it is 100% utilized. And utilization of drilling machine. The utilization of drilling machine also fluctuated from approximate 36% to 6% during simulation. And the less utilization of polishing machine in the beginning, that is 14% due to processing of few parts, but as time passes, the machine utilization was increased and fluctuated in range from approximate 44% to 22%. Next, this is the utilization of polishing machine. Okay, so here this is the utilization of polishing machine. So in this way, through this graph, basically I shows the utilization of different machines for ABGMS model. In this, now this is the comparative evaluation of ABGMS model and GMS model. So this is the maximum utilization and average utilization chart. So you can see here the casting machine, the maximum utilization of this model, that is 100%, 100%. And here you can see in simple GMS model, the maximum utilization was 29.12% for planar machine, but in the case of ABGMS model, it was 39.23%. So maximum utilization was increased by 34.72%. And similarly, lathe machine, the maximum utilization of lathe machine was in GMS model, that is 15.93%, and in the case of ABGMS model, 33.92%. So it is basically increased by 112.9%. So in this way, you can see here, and in the case of drilling machines, so 28.73% was increased in ABGMS model, and in polishing machine, that is 80.14% was increased in case of maximum utilization. Okay, so and average utilization, GMS in average utilization also increased. 6.56% was increased in the case of planar machine. 62.18% increased in the case of lathe machine, and 5.37% was increased in the case of drilling machine, and 53.28% in the case of polishing machine. So basically, these are the comparative analysis of GMS model and ABGMS model. So which is better? So obviously, it shows the ABGMS model has utilized more machines, okay, and using real-time events. So you can basically see the things. Now, the agent-based approach uses an integrated decision platform in MATLAB environment, which integrates sim events and state flow for developing agent-based simulation model of JMS. It also evaluates the performance of developed agent-based jobs of manufacturing system model and tests the different agents used in this model. Okay, so simulation results show the assessment of quality performance of each resource, that is machine, in terms of utilization with respect to time arrival time and number of job arrivals. The performance analysis shows that utilization of each machine is increased in ABGMS as compared to JMS without agents. Okay, so this is the summary of third part. So in this portion, basically what I have covered, that is agent-based approach uses integrated decision platform in MATLAB environment, and which integrates the sim events and state. Okay, and it also evaluates the performance of developed agent-based jobs of manufacturing system model and tests the different agents used in this model. So what I have discussed till now, that is basically I discussed my whole research in a very easy language, so that you can understand what I did in my research work. And the more complex part, basically I try to include all those things, all complexities which was in my research. I try to put in an easy form. So now that is next thing. What are the different managerial implications of my research in different manufacturing sectors? So on the basis of literature review, what I proposed that is a novel framework for implementing multi-agent system in production scheduling, which was proposed, and it can be used by any small and medium-sized manufacturing industry. They can adopt this framework for applying the concept of multi-agent system in its manufacturing system. So any small and medium-sized manufacturing industry, they can adopt this framework for the implementation of this technology, agent technology, in their manufacturing plant or in their industry. The case study considered in this research work is practical in the sense that it includes 3 jobs and 6 machines types, jobs or problem, which enables the manufacturing firms to apply multi-agent system concept in any problem size of GMS. So we can say that this research work that can be scalable. So you can increase the number of jobs, or you can increase the number of workstations in your in your problem. So so it can be scalable. Any industry adopt this model, just like in their plant, in their manufacturing system, they can increase the number of jobs also, and they can increase the or reduce the number of machines. Okay. And the proposed agent-based architecture, basically, it provides the information about the proposed agent-based architecture provides the information about the hierarchical arrangement of agents as per communication flow, and this enables the SMEs to apply hierarchical architecture with functional agents using a direct coordination mechanism in their jobs of manufacturing systems. So here, basically, so in my research, I have used hierarchical arrangement of agents, and so it enables that any SMEs to apply hierarchical architecture with functional agents using direct coordination mechanism in their JMS or in their manufacturing system. And this research work also provides the agent-based solution for production scheduling problem in JMS using sim events with the state flow functions. And this agent-based simulation tool was dedicated to solve discrete event system-based problems. Hence, this study enables the SMEs to take advantage of real-time communication between agents through this agent-based simulation tool for their discrete event problems. So, because my research problem was based on discrete event, and here the number of jobs involved. So, this is the discrete event problem. So any industry or any SMEs take advantage of this real-time communication between agents through this agent-based simulation tool for their discrete event problem. So many any jobs or problems or any manufacturing system problems, they are basically they belong to discrete event problem. So easily we can use sim events for creating the simulation model. So through this way, basically we can easily create the simulation model of any problem. Okay. So basically what I have covered till now, that is my research work, and I have covered managerial implications also, and I tried so much to put all the things in a very easy way so that you can understand this AI-based research work, and you can implement or you can adopt or you can basically consider in your research problem also. So any question till now? So any question you can ask me. It's my over.
Yes, participants, if you are having any question, please type in chat box. So, sir, I think there is no
Yes.
question right now. We can
Yes.
continue. Yes, sir.
In the current scenario, basically AI plays an important role. So, if you consider AI related any problem in your research work, so it will be basically published easily. Okay, only what you have to do, you have to include the this type of mm, tools, or you can include uh, IoT based software or any AI based technologies in your prompt. Okay, so it is and it gives you opportunity for showing your work in a very efficiently way. Any question from the participants side?
Yes, sir. So,
Did you get all the things or not? Any
yes,
participant?
yes, you can provide your feedback or whatever the expert is asking in chat box with yes or no. Yes, please.
If there is any problem in understanding in any part in my presentation, you can ask me.
Uh, uh, Sir, actually, all participants are muted and they cannot speak. But yes, definitely they can ask the question in chat box. So
Okay,
chat box
sure.
is open for the query. Yes, sir.
Sure.
Sir, meanwhile, the participants are asking some questions. Would you like to explore some ideas, even if a listener is say, for a research scholar or would like to join PhD, some kind of thing? Then, what are the future direction of this use of AI in manufacturing sector, basically? So, in that particular direction, he or she can take this research work and can move forward. So, would you
Okay.
like to share some ideas about it?
Oh, yes, yes. Basically, in the current scenario, there are many topics. In those topics, you can start your research. But in the case of manufacturing or in case of mechanical students, basically I belong to industrial engineering field. So I can say that if you include some IoT based or some AI based supply chain management, or if you go for blockchain technology based supply chain, so it will be more basically it will attract more publishers, okay, more evaluators, more reviewers. So it will be published easily if you do any small thing in the case of in this area. So it will be published easily, but you have to put the uh, this like if you do more research. Okay, so just like my research scholar is pursuing his PhD, his research work basically in agriculture supply chain and basically in the AI based agriculture supply chain. So he's doing something in that field, but I explored the agricultural part of thing. So any industrial engineering based students or PhD student, they can start their research work from anywhere, but they have to think in this area. You cannot ignore this area, artificial intelligence area, in your research work. Okay, if you include this part in your research work, so it will be more attractive. Okay. So in the present time, just like the more mm, mm, just like circular economy model, okay, circular model. So this type of things are going on in various in our research, like, circular economy model for supply chain part, circular model for this one. So this topic can be discussed. In this case, you can include uh, mm, any AI-based techniques. I have shown this part in my PPT. It's like I will show you again. Initially, the mega trend of AI, mega trend in AI. So it has many dimensions. Yes, yes, this one. It has many dimensions. In this slide, you can see here. So this is artificial intelligence has machine learning. So machine learning is a subset of artificial intelligence, and deep learning is a subset of machine learning. Okay, deep learning is like supervised learning, unsupervised learning, reinforcement learning. So in a subset is a subset of machine learning. So if you go for machine learning, so you can implement machine learning applications in your research work. Any mechanical engineering student or any computer science student or any students, they can use machine learning algorithms in your research in their research work. Data analytics it is very high time for data analytics. It is also associated with artificial intelligence and data analytics, basically descriptive analytics, predictive analytics, and prescriptive analysis. Not descriptive. So descriptive analytics, directly you can use data analytics. So and inferential analytics also, and just like artificial intelligence related to problem solving, so through search or constraint satisfaction, so it is also a part of artificial intelligence. That just like now in today's scenario, speech recognition is highly demanded, and natural language processing, vision. So these things are very demanded part, uh, highly demanded in computer science students. Basically, many computer science students, PhD students, they are doing research in this area, and many friends of me in NITs also, and many faculty members are doing research in this area also. Speech recognition and that is natural language processing. So it is also mm, the field of AI. You can explore many things in this part, and knowledge representation and automated reasoning. So these are the different dimensions of AI. You can pick anyone and start your research. Okay, and I just picked this material system part and did my research work in this area. So similarly, you can pick any part and start your research work in any area. Okay, just like swarm intelligence, you can pick this part and include this thing in your research work. The tabular and distributed peers. So this is the basically this is the crux of AI, and this whole picture you can basically keep in your mind and just pick anyone and just implement in your research work. So through this way, basically it will be useful for your career also. And wherever you can go for further studies or further upgradation your career, so it will be highly appreciable. So any question?
So good evening, sir.
Good evening.
So actually, I was seeing your presentation, so it's very good, sir. So actually, I was doing my research in the renewable energy using this data analytics application to renewable energy only, sir. So in the thing, can you give some small guidance or small steps so that I can I can do some kind of monitoring mechanism where I can go for further building the own algorithm for making this concept of improving the efficiency of the system, sir. What is the correct way to do it, sir?
So basically, in renewable energy kind of research in renewable energy field, you can uh, use. I just show you know the different dimensions of AI.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So you can pick any topic and include your in your research work. In renewable energy field, what are the factors you can what are the factors you have found for affecting the things uh,
Okay.
you can use. Okay, because this is not my research of area renewable energy, so
Okay.
I cannot say directly whatever you these things
No,
you
sir.
can include.
No, actually,
But
what I'm
only you can,
understanding.
only I can give you the hint. That's like what are the factors involved in your research work, and those factors can be analyzed through any data analytics technique. Because
Okay.
many
So
data analytics techniques.
okay. So which is the most commonly used data analytics techniques in this? Because a lot of things are there. As a beginner in this data analytics part, so which will be the most widely used data analytics techniques in this thing? Because I'm having the data from my inverter, from my electrical part. So in that thing, I want to take the data using Arduino board. So in that, I'm getting some data. In that thing, I want to come to some kind of conclusion. So I was looking for getting correct type of data analytics to be used. So that's when I was stuck up there, sir.
Just like principal component analysis, you can use SVM technique, response RVM technique is like, or any just like multi attribute techniques. So
Okay,
you
okay,
can
sir.
use these things also.
Okay, thank
So
you, sir. Thank you for.
and for
Thank you.
time series for forecasting also you can use time series analysis also. You know. So
Okay, because time series
in
analysis are.
that.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'm gone through the time series analysis also because my thing is my data will be varying with respect to time. So that people are
Yes, yes.
suggesting to go for time series analysis, put the data analysis technique. Let's say I will say
Yes.
I'll look into the things, sir. I'll look into them. Thank you, sir. Thank you for giving your explanation, sir.
Thank you for listening.
So any other participant would you like to interact or have some question?
ARIMA, this is the ARIMA model. So ARIMA model basically it is also a kind of time series analysis. So you can use according to your problem. You can use ARIMA model. So basically, multivariate analysis you can use in your research work. It is also a data analytics. It is a technique of data analytic part. It comes under data analytics. So where multi-variables are involved, so you can use multivariate techniques. So in that case, you can use this one. Is there a solid background like books are basically talk about books, so you can use any Springer book based on data analytics and through video lectures, NPTEL lectures you can refer for understanding part, for understanding the data analytics or any blockchain technology or any kind of techniques. You can use NPTEL lectures also, and you can Coursera, MIT lectures. Any lectures are there. So you can use these lectures for understanding.
Hello,
part.
sir.
Okay. Yes.
Sir, this is me, Ajay. I was the one who was posting the questions in the chat.
Yes, yes, I'm reading your.
Yes,
chat.
the thing is, I really have looked into it from a very broader perspective. In Coursera, to be very precise enough, there are a few courses which are offered by deeplearning.ai, which is handled by Andrew NJ. Something related to time series frame, because time series data frame and when it gets along with big data, it's very, let me say, it's a big headache for analysis purpose. So I really looked into it, but the point is, they go ahead with Python for analyzing it, and there are some libraries which are readily available. The problem is when we want to explore those libraries, then that is where I come to a dead stop. I have tried to go as much as in depth into possible, but yeah, there is some stoppage when it comes to the availability of mathematical background to it. So if there's any, I would happy to be taking that particular part.
Just like you want the books, huh?
Not only books, even a video tutorial. But the thing is, I have tried to dig as much as deep as possible. Coursera, edX. There's one person, Andrew NJ, deeplearning.ai.
Yes.
So that is a well-known. He's a well-known person when it comes to AI and deep learning. So there are some courses which are given by that particular person along with his collaborations. There's just only one particular course which is given by Andrew NJ and another person, I forgot his name, which deals with time series data frame. And there also, they don't talk much about Arima or Sarima. And of course, yeah, in YouTube, there is a particular channel. If I'm so correct, that particular person is working in US as a data analyst. He has given again in Python, but the problem is in libraries. So when we want to explore the math model of it, then that is where we are, or let me say, I'm taking a step back.
Maybe because you are searching for a specific thing, no? You are searching for only part that is Arima or Sarima, because many in the current scenario, I have receiving many emails from many just like data analytics or labs, just like Educate's lab, or they are doing this thing, and they are running many courses for 10 days FDP program on data analytics tool. They are just like 10 days for deep learning and AI application tools. So they are covering these things, but they are not focusing on particular things. It's like you want only Arima or Sarima.
Yeah, other things, yeah, it's known to me. Why again Arima and Sarimas? Again, as you have mentioned, I have tried to dig as much deep as possible. So if people are using Python, then there's one thing that is called as sklearn in Python. It's a library. Similar to this, in MIT, they have actually developed another library called as skTime, which actually integrates sklearn and time series forecasting, club together. skTime, they have introduced. But there again, the problem is when we want to dig in, dive in deep into that math model. Again, there is a small bit of hindrance to it. I even mailed to one of the person who actually has given the code in GitHub, but still, I think they are not, let me say, open enough to say how it was worked around with.
It is the problem. So if you are searching now, go deep and deep. So you will not find the solution point. There are many courses are available, but if you dig out that portion, so it is very difficult to find your answer.
Okay.
So you can contact to me if I
Yeah,
get
sure,
any email from any other background, and just like
Sure.
you want, so I will
Yeah.
communicate it.
Sure, sure. After this meeting, I'll put a mail to you, Shuklaji.
You're sure. Sure.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
So, sir, I think there is no more questions. So let me put a formal vote of thanks to you. Thank you so much, sir, for such an informative session related to artificial intelligence in manufacturing sector. Your research is very useful for us and will provide direction or new ideas to the research scholars. So once again, thank you, sir, for giving your precious time from your busy schedule and sharing a bundle of knowledge with us. I also
Thank you so much. Thank you so
Yes,
much
sir.
for listening me. And I tried basically to put all the things very easy way, and it basically my research work, so that you can get the understanding of the research work, how I handled all those things, all those complex work, and this put the things very easy way.
Yes,
So,
sir.
so it is very good. If you consider my this research work and to proceed further, so it is very. Uh, I'm very happy to see. Thank you so
Definitely,
much.
definitely, sir. It will give new direction or new ideas to many or attendees over here who might have thinking about to pursue their PhD related to in this field. And I also thank all the participants on behalf of Team IIoT. Thank you, everyone. Uh, See you tomorrow in the morning, 9 a.m.
Thank you.